welcome to Comms in Under 10. I'm Caleb, here with my hat on because I didn't have time to do my hair in the morning, but that's fine because we come as we are. So Comms in Under 10 is aiming to share a bit more of heart and some things that you might not know already. And it's so important to have this as a dedicated space where we can communicate well to you and to our whole family. And so communication is so important. It's two-way. So we give out, but we really need to hear, we want to hear feedback. And so ways that you can do that, both things that are challenging and things that are really good, through the feedback button on the email or come and talk to one of our leadership team. But today we are looking at internship and beyond and leadership.
So we're going to talk about our amazing interns. And so I think we'll probably start with a little bit of background and then we'll talk about where we're going to go in the future. It's as simple as that. So those of you who've been with us a little while will know that we've seen a growing need around our children and our young people. And we've seen some gifts emerging in our community, and particularly with Heather and with Caleb, we've seen their gifting and their heart to serve Jesus grow. And so we had a need and we had some special people and we put those things together in the intern program. And so if you don't know, Heather and Caleb have done some formal theology training with St. Mellitus. Caleb's been away, Heather's been away, they've served with other ministries, they've learnt, they've started new things, they've revitalised things, they've served in different ways to free up other people in the staff team and the leadership team to do a whole load of cool things. And so, this is a good time as well, with my trustee hat on, to say thank you to the church for your provision, because people have given money to fund those things I've described. Flying across the world in both directions, east and west, the theology course, sustaining them in their daily living, all those things have been covered by the amazing generosity of the church. So thank you. So that's where we were. And then now in the spring or the summer, we've had to think, where are we going to go? What does that look like going forward? What do we see the needs of the church, and how have we seen those folks grow? And what faith steps do we need to take, and what practical steps do we need to take to move into the rest of this year and beyond? And so as the trustees, as you may know, we're responsible for the money and the law of the church. The church is a charitable body and it's a spiritual entity. And when it's a charitable body registered in the UK, Joe and Paul Gardner and Rich and I hold that bit of our responsibility about our compliance and our financial planning and our legal processes. And when there's people involved, that's what we're talking about. As an employer, that's a thing that we have to consider. And how do we comply with the legislation and the processes around employing, and balance that the kingdom, we are in the world and not of the world. And how we operate in the kingdom isn't always how we would operate if we were Tesco's. But sometimes Tesco's do great things that we need to copy too. And so now we're in the place where we feel that we can still see a need around our children and families work, and schools work. We can still see a need around young people and youth, and we can see how much they've grown. It's been a real encouragement to see how Heather and Caleb have grown into their role, learnt new things, made mistakes, learnt things, and moved forward. And so the leadership team, the vision team, and the leadership support team have all had a whole load of conversations about, do we have a need, and do these guys help fit that need, and what does that look like, and how would we proceed with that? And so what we're going to do is we are going to take a step of faith, and we're going to seek to employ into those two positions. Not two full-time jobs, because that's a lot of work, and to be frank, that's quite a lot of resource, but we feel like we've probably got a desire and a need and a call for two part-time roles to complement everything that's gone before. And how they'll web together with Lizzie's role, John's role, Matt's role is the bit that we're just going to have to tease through now. And we're also now having to tease through what it's like to recruit. What does that look like for application processes? What does selection processes look like? How does that look in terms of being open and transparent? How does that sit when Everybody in our church is webbed together in other ways. Caleb is Matt and Catherine's son. Heather lives with Laura and I. We've got to tease these things through in a transparent way and in a way that's fair to them and fair to all our other stakeholders, but also what's God saying and what do we know of them from their great time and what do we need for them to plan and change and do things in the future. So that's whereabouts that we are. And so we would value your prayer, we would value any wisdom. If anyone's got any questions, and please speak to any of the 4 trustees about what this looks like. And be prayerfully considering as well how we resource, because we were able to beautifully resource an internship, but to employ people is another step of faith again. And this is where the kingdom and the world are not always the same way. If we were in a private company, it would be a pounds and pence, facts and figures. In the kingdom, perhaps it's more about where are we stepping into, where is our kids' work going, where is our youth work going, and how do we invest for reign of revival. So join us on that journey. And as I said, any questions, you can speak to the leadership team, but particularly around staff view things, if you want to speak to Joe Pierce, Rich Wathen, Paul Gardner or myself, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you and bless you.
Hi everybody, so just want to share a little bit about leadership team and what's developing. Now here at HCC we have very much an emergent culture in terms of leadership. So rather than going, here's a need, who can we force into that, or who has to step up into it, we want to be sowing constantly into people that people are growing and emerging and developing. Part of the reason we did an internship. Recently I heard a fantastic feedback on leadership and why leadership fails. And they highlighted 4 key things. And they were humility, empathy, vulnerability, and accountability. And those are 4 things that I know I take really seriously and we as a leadership take really seriously. So as we're developing our team and a bit of a structure in HCC, we want you to know that those 4 things are vital to the whole process. Beginning of last year, we created a team called the Leadership Support Team, and a bit later on we started meeting as a vision team as well, another grouping. And alongside that we've had a group called Ministry School. Now very quickly, the Leadership Support Team is there to support the leadership, it's there to be a critical sounding board and really to play a vital role in that accountability part. The trustees and people on oversight do as well. Vision Team has been a group of people that long term have proven their worth in HCC and that we've been developing in terms of focusing leadership on where we are going, what is God saying, because you'd be aware so easily the stuff of everyday life, the bits and the pieces can get in the way of that vital function. So we've been meeting as a vision team from September last year, and that's people like Paul and Laura Fisher, Deb and Rich Wathen, Jim and Liz, and John and Lizzie. And also, finally, been running a ministry school. Now, ministry school was people who'd done training school that we just then invited into a place to grow further, that there would be another group of up-and-coming leaders, because we are aware that we're praying for and longing for God to move, we're seeing fruit, and we want to be ready to help release that. A bit like riverbanks releasing the flow of water to be a river and not just a pool that becomes stagnant. So you'll be hearing more on those groupings as we move forward, but really just want to underline to you, all of this we want to see work together really well. All of this is about serving you and encouraging you and serving the purposes of God. It's never about a platform or position. So do be praying and make sure you're there 17th of September. We're having a vision night, very, very important. We'll be sharing where we're going as HCC.